Hello and welcome to the Toyota AFL Dream Team Show. I'm Nat Edwards and once again I'm joined by the lovely Adam McNichol. Adam, how are you?
I'm very well, Nat. I'm very excited about Dream Team.
Are you now?
Let me tell you.
It's good to see you in a suit. You're looking very snazzy today.
Yes, well, our fine producer just discovered this out in the cupboard out the back, so I thought, well, better sharpen my act up a little bit.
Very nice. Well, we've got a big show ahead of us today. Of course, we're going to have a bit of a review of the NAB Cup and NAB Challenge matches that have been going on over the past couple of weeks. We've also got National Talent Manager Kevin Sheehan coming in to chat about some of the first-year players who have been making their mark in the pre-season competition. We've got all the latest from Dr. Dream Team and a very special guest to join us in the studio later on, Collingwood Premiership captain, if you don't mind, Nick Maxwell. So we're going to pick his brain about Dream Team a little bit later on.
Very, very passionate Dream Team player, Nat.
He is
Nick
indeed.
Maxwell, he loves it.
Is indeed. Now, let's kick things off by looking at the pre-season competition. It's a good time to do your Dream Team research and a bit of homework. So who's caught your eye?
Well, I've had a look at quite a few players so far in the NAB Cup and I've seen some very encouraging signs, especially from a few defenders around the place. Now, look at that. Dyson Heppel, the boy drafted by Essendon, pretty cheap, going very nicely along with Danny Stanley from the Gold Coast. Jimmy Gwilt, he's a very consistent performer for a bloke who started off in suburban footy. And look at that, Jack Grimes from Melbourne. We've got high hopes for Jack this year. We think he's going to have a very, very fine year. And I must say, I've got him in the back line in my dream team.
Well, he had 24 touches there against Essendon last week, so travelling very nicely.
Racked up 90 Dream Team points. How about that? And we expect him to be right up there with the top Dream Team defenders this year, despite the injury dramas he had last year. Of course, he missed the last 7 games of the season, but don't worry about him this time around. He's fit as a fiddle. And we also have Jack Grimes just continuing to get a little bit of the ball there. And now we're on to Alec Megan. There we go. A rookie from the Gold Coast. Magnificent hair. Now, 92,500, so it's a steal if he gets promoted. But the big thing about Alec Megan is he's listed as a defender, but he seems to be playing an awful lot up forward. So he's the sort of bloke that could play in the back pocket and just get a few points, a couple of kicks. But look at that. Just crumbing a couple of majors there. If he does get promoted, he could be the sort of 40, 50, 60 point player that you're just looking for in the middle of the season.
I'd have him on my watch list definitely if he gets upgraded off the rookie list later on. Now, I had a look at the midfielders. There's a few mid-priced midfielders there that I like the look of, and of course you got David Swallow, who everyone's going to have in their team. Dane Swan, captain every week, he's a given. Mitch Duncan, though, from the Cats, I know he's a second-year player, and as general, you probably steer clear of them in terms of Dream Team, but I do think there is a spot there, obviously, in the Cats midfield for him. He was one of their best on ground against the Saints, and there wasn't a lot to like from that game, but he had 24 disposals and a goal. That was 112 Dream Team points.
He's my man, Mitchy Duncan. I've got him in my team.
So, I mean, he is a bit more expensive for a second-year player, but could be a gun this year. The other one that I've had a little bit of a look at is Luke Shuey from the West Coast Eagles. Another one that I've definitely liked. He's ranked number 2 at the Eagles for tackles and priced at about $280,000 in a third year. Injured last year, but I think he could be one to make a step this year.
And now, of course, you need some good ruckmen in your Dream Team. If you're going to get all those points, you need some big boys to knock it down to the midfielders. Look at that. Dean Cox, we've got him marked this year because he's had a couple of off years, the big fella, but gee, he is still a mighty fine player. Mark Seaby broke his leg last year. Former Eagle, former teammate of Cox, of course. We think he might be going on the cheap this time around. Drew Petrie, look at that there. We discussed him in the last show. We're a bit unsure about Big Drewy. Have him in or out, given that the Kangas have got an early bye and he's going to be suspended for round 1, but don't worry about that. And Paddy Ryder and Tyrone Vickery up there, we see him at Tyrone Vickery. Here he is taking a nice mark from last year. Now, Tyrone, Richmond supporters are not sure what to think about the big fella. He was a top 10 draft pick, but he hasn't kicked on in his first couple of games down there that he's played at Tigerland. But we just think he might be all right, along with the big fella, Drew Petrie. Look at that. Disappointing that he went and whacked Darren Milburn in the old round robin down at Skilled Stadium and got suspended for round 1. The Kangas have the bye in round 3, so maybe put him on the watch list and just bring him in for round 4. That might be the smartest thing to do with Big Drewy.
Why not? Now, of course, in the forwards, we've got a lot of value here. Patrick Vesperme's come over from the Sydney Swans, of course, picked up by the Bulldogs, 206, and look, he's been playing pretty well in the NAB Cup, in my opinion. Jared Grant's another Bulldog who's upped his forward line pressure and could be a good pick as well. Dion Prestia, strong, nuggety player from the Gold Coast. I like his work, but Ryan Gamble may have rejuvenated his career. Couldn't get a game at Geelong, but doing very nice things up forward for the Saints at the moment, and he's part of Ross Lyons' restructured forward line, and he scored 91 in his NAB1 game. So very good Dream Team points. Cam Richardson, player, mature age rookie from North Ballarat, is listed. He's listed as a forward, but it looks like he's probably going to play more in the midfield and maybe across half back. So I think he's going to be a very, very nice pickup for $97,000.
Big motor, our boy.
In. That's
motor.
what I say. Lock him in.
Bang. He's a steal. He's a giveaway.
Oh, definitely. So he's definitely locked and loaded in my dream team. But there's just so much information going around, and someone who can help us with some rookies is our next guest, which is, of course, Kevin Sheehan, National Talent Manager with the AFL. Shifter, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem, Nat. Adam, absolute pleasure. I'm a dream team player. Last year, my son Sam got me into it, so, gee, there was probably 50 or 60 I had in mind. And to make those decisions that match committees have got to make every week become a tough one. But second year up, I think I'm going to be further into it, so I've done a little bit of homework.
Excellent. Well, the NAB Cup, of course, is such a great opportunity for those first-year players and the new kids at the club to get some senior experience under their belt. So who's impressed you so far in the pre-season?
Well, I love to go for those that have got the perfect backgrounds, and I'm saying that in terms of performance over our talent player pathway, so the guys that have been good at under 16 level and under 18 level, and then go on with it, and you can't overlook David Swallow right up at the top of the list, and I know he might be a wee bit pricey, but gee, he has won the Lark Medal 2 years ago. That's the best and fairest. That's when he was 16 years of age at our national championship, and then last year, of course, progressed up to play VFL footy for the Gold Coast, 4th in the Liston Trophy, so performance on the board there. He wins his own footy. He can play as a sweeper across half back or play as a midfielder that wins clearances. Can even hit the scoreboard. He kicked 5 in a game last year, so I think he's also got the strong body ready to go. For an 18-year-old now, he's a guy that's put on quite a few kilos under their development program there at the Gold Coast. So I think he's a shoe-in really to play very, very well and be a super player within the first 6 weeks of the year.
Yeah, he'll be definitely a starter in my midfield, I think, this year. So definitely one to look out for. Now, who else have you spotted? Any defenders?
Well, Dyson Heppel is a guy that'll play all over the ground. Essendon picked him up at choice 8 and were delighted to get him in barrack for the Bombers all his life. And he had, again, a super year last year. Won the Morris Medal, best and fairest in the TAC Cup, the most valuable player for Vic Country. I saw him actually have over 40 possessions in a game for Gippsland Para final when he virtually carried his side over the line to get into the grand final. And that convinced me he's going to be a star. He hasn't let me down on the NAB Cup. I reckon he's played very well each time, and he's got great range at his size. 189, so it means he can play in a lot of spots. You know, whether it's half back, through the midfield, can go forward. He's a dangerous left foot kick, can even hit the scoreboard. So Dyson Heppel's really a player to watch for this year.
Shifter, you've got the potential here to break the hearts of a few Richmond supporters, but Heppel versus Reece Conker, where do you see that just at the minute?
Yeah, well, the choices, they were 6 and 8. Yeah, look, Reece Conker did what the good players do. He debuted after the playing for WA at under 18 level and playing very well. He went home and debuted at senior level and started straight away. So he took the step up in his stride. So all of the cues are that he'll step up into AFL footy and do the same thing. That's what the good players have done over the year. They feel very comfortable as they step up the grades, and Conker certainly has done that. So I'd look to him to be a very good player this year as well.
That sounds all right.
And everyone's always looking for that unique pick and that maybe a smoky. Do you have any smokies for us?
Well, I think that Jai Bolton is the absolute smoky at the moment.
We've just outed him.
And to break into the Collingwood side, this is a kid that was taken in the rookie draft at a choice very, very late. In fact, it was choice number 73 in the rookie draft. You're about choice 180.
How did he get there?
Well, he wasn't even tested at the end of last year. We tested 240 players. He wasn't in that group because he had glandular fever in the off-season and didn't even make the Geelong Falcons list. He played a senior year at Leopold. And then Nick Maxwell had a draft camp down around Geelong, and this young fellow actually was that impressive. His endurance, his 3K time trial was as good as Andrew Gaff's, so he had a tank, and that was enough info for Collingwood to say, look, let's take him as a late rookie. And he's been played in their games to date. He turns 19 today.
Oh, well,
he's
happy
heading across to
birthday.
play. He's heading across to play this weekend. What a birthday present to be in the premiership side. So I think even with Nathan Brown, long-term injury, maybe the rookie might do well enough to push up and be an absolute steal and play some games with the Collingwood senior side this year. He's definitely the bolter.
Fantastic.
Young Bolton.
And I've got a bit of a dream team crush on one particular player who's impressed me over the pre-season, and that is Fremantle's Viv Mitchie. Now, do you think he'll be able to slot straight into their senior side?
Well, on his form through the practice matches he could, and what he showed last year for Oakley and for the Vic Metro would indicate he's capable of it. He's got, well, a mature body, a stronger body. Some guys are going to be thin and definitely need a year or so. I don't think that Viv's got any problems there. He's quite capable physically. He's very smart around the goals, can take a terrific one-on-one mark as well. So he's got that footy nous you're really after, and taken number 44. I think it showed the depth of the draft. I had him probably up in the top 30, and to get there at 44, and he's taken initial steps at the start of the year to show that he's capable of playing senior footy. And Freo will throw them in. That's been the history. If they look good enough, they'll throw them in straight away. Mark Harvey, and we look forward to Viv Mitchie's year.
Fantastic. Well, you've given us so much to think about now. I'm going to have to change my team yet again for the 50th time. So thanks so much for joining us, Shifter. It was a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again very soon.
We look forward to it, and I'm going to go home and just go over my dream team once more, having heard some of your information from a bit earlier.
Thanks, Shifter. If you can't win this competition, then I don't know who can.
Well, of course, the NAB Cup provides us with a wealth of information, but the toughest part is, of course, processing it all. Our expert Dr. Dream Team has a few tips on how we can best handle it.
In between my Dream Team research, the Doc loves a good movie. I also love a good award show. On Monday, when I took out some time from picking my team and tuned into the Oscars, I was pleased to see Christian Bale take home the gold for Best Supporting Actor in The Fighter. Many thought our own Geoffrey Rush would win it with his performance in The King's Speech, especially after he'd beaten Bale for the award at the BAFTAs. I, however, knew Bale would win the Oscar because I know that the lead-up event isn't always a precursor to what's going to happen in the big show. Which leads me to my Dream Team advice for this week. Those picking their teams based purely on NAB Cup performances should be very careful. The NAB Cup shows us youngsters with talent and gives a chance for second and third tier players to perform, but it can also be something of a fool's gold. Teams are missing some of their best players and coaches are experimenting. So, just because a few players perform well in the NAB Cup, I'm reluctant to believe it will necessarily translate into big Dream Team points in the home and away season. We'll put it this way. This time last year, West Coast's Chris Maston finished the NAB Cup with an average of almost 84. In the home and away season, he averaged a tick over 56. The NAB Cup is important for your team selection, but it shouldn't be taken as a be-all and end-all. Ask anyone who picked Maston last year. Until next time, sweet dreams.